Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen up, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking about the one and only Turbo Coin, right? We're talking about the one and only Turbo Coin. Listen, the markets have been dropping quite a bit in the last day, which was expected, right? I did talk about a correction on the last Turbo video. As of right now, we have dropped 5% from the last relevant highs. But overall, we have been holding pretty strong compared to other coins, right? This is Turbo, right? This is Turbo's nice big green candle yesterday. This is the red one, the pullback that I believe, right, is going to be the retest, right? I believe, pullback was expected. We talked about this, but I believe due to market conditions, we are going to start going more sideways. And I do want to see this area reclaimed. I'm not saying it is going to be 100% reclaimed. Obviously, for us to have more confirmation, to literally have this go above this green box and then start retesting off of it. But I do believe the reversals may be here, or the potential signs of reversals. Look, right? Look at a daily candle, right? See something like Turbo. Remember, Turbo is a meme coin. Yes, I still believe it is one of the best meme coins, especially when it comes to risk to reward, but it is still a meme coin. Coins like Ondo, Caspa, Render, other projects will most likely always have, pretty much better value, right? Because as we know, they have way more real utility behind them. But never count out meme coins, because society just loves meme coins, which is why I believe it's always, not necessarily a lot of your portfolio, but a decent amount of portfolio, maybe 20%, 10%, 15%, 5%, whatever you're comfortable with, is worth taking a risk in meme coins. And Turbo is the meme coin that I would personally be comfortable, putting my money in. But look, the point I'm saying is that we are a meme coin and we are holding really well. While some other projects like Radium, look at that. Boom. Look at that. We have dropped all the way back down and pretty much almost erased all of our gains from the previous day. Something like Pangolin is holding decent. We go to something like ICP, right? ICP, a lot of people are high on it, has a higher market cap. The utility behind the actual project is pretty great. And look at this. It is, holding way less stronger than something like Turbo. XDC, same. Ondo is still doing fairly good, but we're still outperforming Ondo at the moment. Render is actually pretty much identical to Turbo, so we're going pound for pound with something like Render at the moment. AKT lost pretty much 50% of its value from yesterday. Flux pretty much 50% of its value from yesterday. And man, let me tell you something. That is super, super impressive, right? Meme coins are supposed to be a double-edged sword, okay? You make more when things pump, but you also lose more when things drop. But for some reason, Turbo is outperforming coins with real utility, which means this is super, super bullish. I am super bullish on Turbo generally when it comes from point A to point Z. I know, people are obviously not going to be super bullish when things have dropped a lot, but the way I see things, I care about my point A and my point Z, which is buying low and selling high. That is it. Whatever happens in the middle, certain retracements, certain pumps, I don't really care. Now, is that necessarily the most 100% efficient style, right? No. Could I have made more money if I just, sold near the tops and rebought the bottoms? Yes. But you know what? This is one of the most efficient ways when it comes to being safe and super, super consistent. Focusing on point A to point Z is what my personal plan was and still is. And the fact that we're getting closer to Z than we are, closer to A, means that I'm not changing my plan. If anything, I'm dollar cost averaging more. And yes, that means I still believe Turbo is bullish, because if I am wrong, then, rip my portfolio. But not only that, but if I am wrong, then I mean, like, it is what it is at this point. But look, I don't believe I'm wrong. Bitcoin dominance still has to get to this super, super high area of 70% before it drops off, right? We talked about how we expect, certain things to pretty much, bounce off here and then consolidate and sell off. That is when altcoin season is going to be happening. So one of the things I do want to do is compare Turbo to pretty much other meme coins that may or may not be relevant. Solana, you know, a lot of people, I'm still super high on Solana in terms of where it could possibly, you know, its reversal potential and everything. But look, we can see this coin in the daily has retraced a good amount. You know, it is a low market cap coin, so maybe not the best example. We know Ponky is pretty decent too. Look, down 50%. Something like Hoppy. I know some people wanted me to talk about Hoppy. Look, also down a little bit more. Not as bad as Ponky, right? But still kind of weak. Look at something like Peanuts. All the Peanuts gains have pretty much been diminished, right? From yesterday, telling you stay away from this coin. Pengu, right? Let's look at Pengu. I mean, half of it is just gone. So we can see we are literally holding better than all of these coins. No, Based Turbo. Oh, Based Turbo. This is why you just cash out when you can, because, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. This is why it's really risky to buy knockoff coins, right? Very, 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 very risky. What else can we look at? We looked at Pengu. Let's look at Popcat, right? Popcat's also a big one. So Popcat's actually holding pretty well. Not as good as Turbo, but we can see the retracement isn't that bad. So look, a couple meme coins just off the top of my head that we compared it to. When we do something like Brett, maybe, right? Go to Brett. Let's see how Brett is doing. I know a lot of people love Brett. Look, again, daily candle absolutely destroyed. So yesterday's action doesn't even matter, right? It doesn't even matter. Let's go to something like Giga, right? I know some people are high on Giga too. Giga is decent, around 30 to 50% drop, so not bad. But look, we're outperforming so many meme coins. We're outperforming so many altcoins. And at this current moment, we are literally outperforming Bitcoin. Now, does that mean that we can't drop a little bit later? Sure, it is possible that later today that we may drop, but we are holding relatively strong. And the crazy thing is, even if we drop, I don't expect us to have a very bad daily candle. You know, maximum maybe somewhere over here, which would be what, roughly 50%, maybe 35 to 50%, which is still going to be a lot better than literally most meme coins that have real utility and, you know, financial power behind them, and almost every other meme coin. So super bullish for this coin, right? Super bullish. Really do believe in Turbo. I really do, right? We have the shoes potentially, we have the book, we have going to different narratives, right? We have the gaming, the metaverse, all the collaborations. We are doing things that pretty much no other meme coin is doing. And even if they are, I mean, that's just maybe a handful, maybe, if I'm being generous, a literal handful of meme coins. But from what I see, Turbo is pretty much one of a kind. And remember, Turbo will always be the first coin created by AI. That is inevitable, okay? That is something that that's never going to change. That is history, okay? You cannot change history. So super optimistic and high on this coin. Absolutely love it. I hope you guys do too. That is it from me. Remember, stay safe. If you want a portfolio review, join the community. We'll go over everything in detail. I'll give you my honest opinion. And yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.